Hi everyone. First of all, I just want to thank you for just simply even clicking on this video. I know it's a sensitive topic, subject, however you want to call it. And the reason I made this video is more than anything to try and help out as many people as I can. And when I say help out, I mean if I'm just there as a listening ear, if I'm there to help you, if I'm there to give you some words of encouragement, anything I can help you with with my means necessary, I will do it. And I kind of wanted to come on here and talk about how it was being a sibling to a teenager who was murdered. So my brother's name is Martin Alberto Garza. I forgot to introduce myself. My name is Yulinda Garza. I am from the Imperial Valley. So I guess you could speak for me and my brother. We're both in the Imperial Valley. We were both born in El Centro, but we were raised in Brawley our whole life, pretty much. I only lived in El Centro like maybe a year or two when I was very little, but can't really remember that. And so we went to school in Brawley our whole life. And well, January 6th, 2013, my brother's life was taken. And I'm not going to go into detail about that. I will give a little bit of logistics and background for those who do not know exactly, because I know a lot of people don't necessarily know what happened. Some people have like an idea and all that, but I'm not going to go into detail. That's not my purpose here, at least not this time. Maybe another time, or maybe never, who knows. But my brother was a senior in high school. The high school was about to go back to school right right when winter break was at the end, kind of thing. So we were on winter break, and it was pretty much the weekend you're going back to school. So like Saturday we went out. He was murdered Sunday morning, like around 2 or 3 a.m. And then that Monday, which is the next day, was when everyone had to go back to school. And so you can imagine the impact that had, especially for a kid who, I wouldn't say that my brother was popular. I feel like that has a negative connotation, but I do feel like my brother was very well known and very well liked. And I mean, don't get me wrong, there's the opposite also, but more than anything, I've always heard positive things about my brother. And I'm not just saying this because of my brother. This is coming from all these things that I've heard from other people, because obviously I know he was a good person, but I'm a sister, I'm kind of biased. But my brother knew a lot of people, so you can imagine the impact my brother had when this happened. The day after he was murdered, so Sunday and then Monday, they had a vigil for him, and I want to say about 2,000 people showed up to the football field that he played on, because my brother was also a football player, basketball player, and baseball player. Baseball will always be his first love. He loved baseball, and basketball we played throughout all our childhood, but he only played basketball his senior year in high school. He didn't play throughout, but baseball he did, and then except for senior year because he died. And then football he played all 4 years. He did not play Pop Warner. My mom did not let him, but let me tell you, he left his mark on that field. And whenever people talk about my brother, they talk about how sweet he was, and more than anything, talk about his hugs. He gave the tightest hugs, like you couldn't breathe. And it was special though. At first, you're like, oh my god, this guy's squeezing me, but it's bittersweet after. And mind you, me and my brother were only a year and 2 months apart. We were attached to the hip. We did everything together. And even though I was technically only a year and 2 months apart, older than him, I helped in a way raise him. And when I say that, I mean I taught him how to dance, I taught him how to dress, taught him how to talk to girls. I pretty much the reason he had any game, if he had any. So that was my baby. And everyone knows the kind of relationship we had. He was not scared to show how affectionate he was to me. He was also not scared to tell me what it is. Like, he would tell me, to get my shit together and everything. He was just that person. He would be that person to motivate you. And when his life was taken, the Imperial Valley was pretty shook, because even though this happens more than people, I guess, want to believe, because they know it happens. I guess I'm talking about how the Imperial Valley was shook because this happened so much, but this time it hit. And I think that has to do with the fact that my brother left his mark in a lot of different places. And my brother was an innocent kid. I mean, he wasn't involved in any trouble. He had good grades. He had a future, like, you know, like everyone does technically, like, and I think I wanted to bring light to the fact that I don't think it should matter if you're a gang member. I don't think it should matter if you've robbed someone. I don't think it should matter if what kind of background you had. You're still a human. You're still a person, and you should be treated as such. And I know that my brother got, I guess you can say, the special treatment. And what I mean by that is that they made sure they closed the case. They made sure they got his murderer. You know, they were on it. And I think I want to shed light on the fact that not everyone gets that. Oh, because he was involved, this guy was involved in gangs, and this girl did this. It's like, that person is someone's child. That person is someone's sibling. That person is someone's loved one. And I really want to bring, you know, light to that too. But I think more than anything, I want to give a sibling's perspective. And one thing I did forget to mention is that he was my only sibling. It was just me and him. I had not that many people growing up. I mean, I had my mom's baby sisters, but we had a love-hate relationship. So honestly, my brother was all I had growing up, in a way. Literally. My cousins that are like our age, my brother's age, we don't really have that many. If we did, they lived out of town. We didn't have family in town other than my mom's sisters. And so we pretty much had each other's back. Like, we were all each other had. And for me to have been there, don't get me wrong, I have my days. Like, it's hard. I replay that night every day. Every day I replay that night in my head. And it's affected me, but I wouldn't say negatively. And it's crazy to say that, because I know that so many people tell me all the time, like, oh my God, I can't imagine going through that. Like, I don't know what I would have done. I don't know how they would have reacted. And honestly, you won't know until you're in that predicament. Like, I never thought my mom would be able to get through this. Like, she was a mess. Like, that was her baby. And especially my dad. Another thing, my dad and my brother are the only boys in their family. So there goes the Garza name. I mean, don't get me wrong, my grandfather had siblings who are, you know, who are men, and they have kids. And so there are Garzas that are my family, my blood. But from my grandfather, there's no more Garzas. And so that's another bittersweet thing. My brother did not have any kids. He was only 17 when he was murdered. He was gonna be 18 he was 4 months shy of his 18th birthday when this happened, in his senior year. He didn't even get to walk the stage. So you can imagine the impact this had, like I said. And he was a football player. He was on varsity for 3 years. I'm telling you, when I tell you that he made his impact, he made his impact. And I honestly, before he passed away, I didn't realize how many people my brother knew. And going, you know, different jobs, after I got jobs, you know, they would be like, oh, what's your name? And I'm like, oh, Yolanda Garza. And they'll be like, oh, that name sounds familiar, like, you know, my last name. And I'll be like, oh, well, remember that kid from Brawley who got murdered? And they're like, oh yeah, the football player. I'm like, yeah, well, that was my brother. I was known as that girl after my brother died, because before my brother died, I mean, I don't think that many people knew who I was. I didn't really go out in high school. I mean, I was social, don't get me wrong. In high school, I was very social, but outside of my high school, I wasn't. My brother was very social, even outside of high school. Like, I'm telling you, he impacted so many lives, and I didn't realize it until after he passed away. And it's kind of crazy, like, thinking about how I was known as the girl whose brother was murdered, or that's the only way I can connect them to who I am, I guess you can say. When I moved out here to San Diego and I got a new job out here, well, not a new job, I transferred, it was kind of cool, like, not anyone knowing who I was. And even if I try to tell them who I am, like, I can't be like, well, you remember that kid? They don't know what the Imperial Valley is most of the time. And so it's kind of bittersweet having to tell the story, because in the valley, I didn't have to. All I had to be was like, yeah, I remember that kid in Brawley who was murdered in El Centro. They're like, oh my God, yes. I'm like, well, that was my brother. And it was really bittersweet coming to San Diego and kind of having a fresh start and making a name for myself. I was not known as, and I'm so proud to be known as his sister. You guys have no idea. But sometimes it's nice to have like your own individual, like, I don't know what the word is. You guys can, catch my drift. But yeah, and I think, okay, I guess I should go into how I coped with it. One thing that I will say is you can never tell someone how to mourn or how to deal with things. Everyone's gonna mourn and deal with things differently. Just because I wouldn't even say a success story, it's just more that I didn't let it affect me, and if I did, it was positively. But not everyone can do that, and there's nothing wrong with that. And I need to emphasize that you cannot tell people how to mourn. You cannot tell them, oh, let him rest. Because I post about my brother a lot, my mom, oh my God, my mom especially. And it's like, do they not realize that that's how we go about our life? That's how we cope with it. That's how we feel normal. And he feels like our everyday life. And what you guys, I don't know if you guys believe in the afterlife and signs and everything, but I do. And like I said, I don't know if I said in this in here, but his number is 73 in football. So his football number is 73, basketball number is 55, and his baseball number was 43. So any of those numbers, I will think of him. But his number 73 is actually what resonates the most with everyone. Everyone knows him by 73. So when I see a 73, I feel like he's telling me hello, letting me know that I'm there, or I'm on the right path, or that he's just there. And a lot of my friends who will tell you that it happens so much to me, and it's insane. And people who were not even believers in that believe it now, that who hang out with me, because it's not a coincidence. Like, it really isn't. I can't explain it to you. But that's how we get through the day. And I think, honestly, me knowing how to connect to my brother, even in his afterlife, has helped me tremendously. I feel like my life is normal. I don't feel like he is not here. I really feel him all the time. I almost feel like he's not gone. The only times that it really hits me is when big things happen. For example, I just got married this past October in 2019, and the wedding planning was so emotional because I got the same videographer that I had for my quince. Mind you, me and my brother were so close that I even had my brother as my chambelán for my quince. And he was such a great dancer, guys. Oh my God, my brother was a great dancer. And he was really good with fashion. I should talk about my brother, but I'll talk about him another time. But I got the same videographer and photographer, and my mom went all out on my quince. My mom is the most extra person. Like, if y'all know her, y'all know what I'm talking about. My mom is extra. So my quince was extra. My quince, mind you, was 10 years before I got married. I got married when I was 25. So when I met the videographer 10 years later, I knew he'd remember me if I let him know which quince it was. All I had to tell him was, oh, we had a runway. It was a fashion, themed quinceañera. It was, purple and leopard. We had a runway show. There was fireworks. It was in Mexicali. It was at, I forgot the name of the jardín. And it was like in the outskirts. And he was like, oh my God. And I was like, remember I had my big old face on the bus and everything. He remembered me. It was crazy. I couldn't believe it. Like, I could, but I couldn't. It took him a little while, I'm not gonna lie. And when he asked about my brother, because he obviously remembered like how our relationship was, I didn't know how to tell him. And I said, he passed away, and I told him, he was murdered, blah, 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 and like all this stuff. And I remember leaving that first meeting with him, one-on-one, leaving with Robert and my husband, and I told him, I started crying, and I'm not a crier, like I really am not, and like you might hear my voice crack or maybe my eyes will get watery, but to cry, it takes a lot for me to cry. I don't know why. I'm an emotional person. You will know how I feel. I wear my heart on my sleeve. You will always know how I feel, but I am not a crier. It's weird. The only person that sees me cry a lot is my husband, and other than that, I just don't cry. But I think my brother's death only hits me when big things like that happen, like my wedding. Like I'm sure he would have been fighting someone to be my husband's best man, because mind you, me and my husband were only dating two months when my brother was murdered. And so my husband, even though I had him, he helped me a lot too get through my brother's death and everything. And my parents kind of tried, but they couldn't. And my best friends tried to be there, but they couldn't. No one could be there for me. And I do have a few friends that were there for me, and I can name them in a different video. But like some of my best friends that I've known since childhood, like Joe and Stephanie, who most of you know, they couldn't be there for me. And for a long time I was mad, until I realized that they're mourning their brother too, because we're family. And I realized that they were mourning too, and I had to realize that, but I didn't have them. I literally only had my husband. My mom was busy mourning. My dad was busy mourning. My family was busy mourning. It was a little hard, I thought for a while I was gonna be by myself, but surprisingly, that's why my parents let my husband move in, because I needed him more than anything. If it wasn't for him, I don't know. And that's why I'm making this video. I think I'm gonna cut it right here, but that's why I'm making this video, because those of you who are going through something like this or anything, I am here. Like, I am here to listen, to be your shoulder to cry on, well, virtually, because we can't meet right now, but I am here to be a listening ear, to give you advice if you need it. But if you don't need it, I will simply listen. And I think that simply having someone there to support you and like encourage you is so important to go through these life altering events. I can't tell you how much my life has changed since it's happened, and I think that's for another video, because I am seeing that I'm already 17 minutes in. But I do believe that I will be making more videos like this, because I really do want to help people and be there for them to reach out. I am so thankful for those of you who actually stayed here the whole 19 minutes whenever I stopped the video. And I hope you all have a blessed day, and I will catch you in the next video, because I'm almost positive there's going to be another one.